Loktar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, everyone's favorite orc warrior, and it's time for another orc mode workout. And today was just a normal day. Like I said, same numbers I've been doing. No big deal. Although I did have some interference trying to get my squats going today, so it kind of it took me a bit to get in my zone because I had some annoying texts and stuff going on. Stuff not related to the internet in any way, just some personal drama. But I had to get back in my zone and finish squatting. But yeah, it started like right after my first warm up there. So in between doing that and getting to my 315, I had to chill out a bit, get back in my zone, get back into training. And you know, that's the other thing to remind people of. People say, well, you could use your orc rage from whatever was pissing you off into your weights. But actually, when you're training with this sort of frequency, doing heavy singles, getting psyched up and angry can interfere with your recovery. It can interfere with your recovery, guys, and that's not good. Because again, we know that based upon all the stuff that's out there on this sort of training styles. So you got to learn to keep your calm. You got to channel your inner shaman, not your orc rage. It's a good way to put it, right? All my gaming followers out there, you understand what I'm talking about. You gotta learn to be mellow with this, you know. You gotta learn to mellow your rage. Mellow your rage when you're training. It's all about the focus. So yeah, I mean, but the weights weren't that bad today. Nothing really felt particularly heavy. Nothing felt heavy in spite of that, which is a good thing. So even my 437 and a half beltless squat actually wasn't bad today. Not bad at all. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I haven't looked at all this footage yet, so let me see how this stuff actually looks. You know, I do have some people still saying, you need to fix your forward lean, and you know, and it's like, but it's funny when people give you advice when they don't actually know how to fix something they perceive as a problem. It's kind of like, that would be like me saying, to, you know, to you, hey, you need to fix whatever this with your car. You'd be like, well, I appreciate that, bro. Why don't you tell me how I should fix your perceived problem, since you are such the expert on what I'm doing wrong. But they can't do that for you because basically they're just repeating something they've heard someone else say somewhere, without actually any knowledge of biomechanics or any knowledge of training themselves, so they wouldn't have the first clue on how to coach somebody on something. You got to remember that when people criticize you, you know, because you're going to put footage up and you're going to have other people at the gym talk to you. And it's important for you to learn what you're doing yourself so that you don't need to rely on that, because when you start having to do that and it's not someone you've hired to coach you, who you don't have any reason to trust that they really do know how to coach people, it doesn't matter that they know how to lift. Can they coach, you know, and they start giving you advice. You have to learn to take that with a grain of salt, because if they don't understand what's causing your problem or what they perceive as a problem, they don't have an actual solution, they kind of wasted your time and their time by even saying it, didn't they? You know, hey guys, we need to fix this problem with renewable energy. You know, we got to get off these fossil fuels. You're like, well, that's a brilliant statement, Einstein. You got a solution for that? And you know, that's all they had to say. So, oh, okay, well that's great. That's great. I got a solution. How about I get stronger quads by doing more squatting? How you like that answer? So that's what I'm doing. We are in the process. You know, you guys got to just learn to laugh off these ass clowns. You got to learn to. You have to. You have to laugh at these ass clowns and just laugh them off and go about your business. Unless they're someone who really knows what they're talking about, in which case you might want to listen. But, you know, without proof that they know what they're talking about, again, that can be a waste of time. But yeah, benching went good. Everything looked good today. It didn't feel heavy, but I will say that I felt it in my pecs. Like I got a lot of almost a pump in my pecs, even doing 1 to 3 reps today. So that was noticeable. That was a little different. And as far as all the stuff goes, I mean, I would say my peak set today, my peak single, actually felt light. It locked really fast. But it felt like some of my back off work felt a little slow, and I really felt my chest a lot. And even afterwards, I had like a pretty big pump in my pecs. So, you know, them teddies were getting pumped and fat. And I guess that's a good thing because, you know, the breaking the bench off the chest when you pause, that's all about that Teddy power anyways. It's all about Teddy power. You always get that in guys who are like, I don't know, the bench press doesn't grow my chest. And it's like, do you pause bench? Because if you pause bench and you're getting stronger, it's not possible for your chest not to be growing. Quit bouncing the bar off your chest. You know, quit creating such a massive arch and bouncing the bar off your chest that your chest actually has to work to get the weight started, and your chest will have to grow. It doesn't have a choice. It doesn't have a choice. You know, that's the other thing. You always get people who say things like, well, you know, it's all, the bench isn't actually that much chest, it's more tricep than chest. It's like, wow, then if that was true, then the only tricep exercise you'd ever need is the bench press then, right? Why you guys who believe that stuff bother to isolate your triceps? Why don't you just bench more, since that would be the key to massive triceps? If the triceps are the most important muscle in your bench press, then the bench press would be your primary tricep exercise now, wouldn't it? And everyone who got strong at the bench would have enormous arms. Yeah? How do you like that logic? You know, because people say that. Whenever they say that whatever muscle is the weak link in a big compound movement, doesn't that mean if you get better at that compound movement, that muscle will grow the most? I don't know. Common sense here, guys. The muscles that get worked the hardest grow the most on an exercise. I don't know. That might be a little too complex for some people. Might be a little too complex for some people to grasp. See, the harder a muscle works, the more it will most likely grow. But, you know, you'll have people telling you all this silly nonsense. Well, you've got to isolate all these muscles to get good at a big lift. Well, I'm not saying isolating a muscle can't improve a big lift. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that because we know it can. But that you have to. That you can't get a 500-pound bench press and an 800-pound squat by benching and squatting a lot. There's got plenty of guys who've done it. Guys who've done it the other way. I mean, there's lots of guys who've done the other also. But, you know, to say that you have to, you've got to isolate all these muscles. Well, man, you'd almost think that if those muscles were that important, that the bench press would make them get bigger and stronger if they're so important to it. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube. You know. But deadlifting went okay today. Just did my straps today. Everything went okay other than my double overhand work. You know, I mean, I've had days where my double overhand's good and I've been setting PRs, and other days where the bar just rolls out of my hand. 425 rolled out of my hand on the double overhand today. It rolled out. It just flat rolled out. You know, and you'll get people who say, well, this person and that person pulls over double overhand. Did they use a good bar with good bearings? A stiff bar that's unbent? Well, then I don't care what they lifted because it's not comparable to what I'm doing. It's not the same standard. Some bent ass bar with cheap bearings. It doesn't even spin on its own. If you guys notice, my plates spin already when I pick the bar up. There's just spin happening. It's called having a good bar. You get a good bar, guess what happens? The collars tend to spin easy. And when you have a stiff bar that doesn't get bent because you don't abuse it, guess what? The bar stays unbent. And that makes it even harder to do double overhand grip. It's just kind of funny, you know, because you got people who have pulled little stunts like that, and then when you see them actually have to grip some farmer's walk handles or whatever, they can barely hold a total of 520 pounds for a couple seconds before it slips out of their hands. You know, I'm throwing that out there. Some cheating grip strength there. And by the same token, you guys saw Big Boy this week, didn't you? Bail like a 585 double overhand grip. He wanted to mess around with his double overhand. He couldn't hold on to 585. That guy deadlifts like 800-900 pounds. What is his meat deadlift? It's up there. So the guy can mix grip. We know he'd mix grips over 800. Double overhand, 585 rolls right out of his hands. Should tell you something. Should tell you something right there about double overhand. It's serious business, guys. But it's good grip training. You know, it will test your grip. It's a good way to help build it up. Do some extra double overhand work. It's what I've been doing every day. It's a little bit of double overhand work, and I missed it here, but it's all good. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.